Nudie is a country singer based in Charlottetown, PEI. We had a wonderful chat about how he ended up here via Montreal, Toronto, Austin, Texas, and New York City, the ups and downs of the music industry, and how sometimes a songwriter's style can find them, not the other way around.
Art, I want you. Art, you make it pretty hard not to. And my heart is trying hard here to follow you, but I can't always tell if I ought to.
How's it going, Nudie?
It's going well. Thanks for having me, Andrea. Or do you prefer Drea?
You can call me whatever you want.
Okay.
I first became aware of you and your music, I think, in the early to mid 2000s. Certainly, you and I have played with a lot of the same people over the years
Sure.
since then. But I really don't know what you were doing before then. So what I'm wondering is how you got started as a songwriter, when you decided to make it kind of the thing for you.
Right.
And how did you end up on PEI? Because I know you weren't born here.
Okay. Let's see. What was the first question?
I do
can
this
start
all the
there.
time. How'd you get started as a songwriter?
Got started. I never had any intention of being a songwriter. I always wanted to be an interpreter. Like Emmylou Harris or Frank Sinatra, or just people that didn't write. I had zero interest in writing songs. And then and I was not really a singer per se. I always liked singing, but I was playing bass in bands was my main thing, and I'd sing the occasional song. I was the bass player that got the 2 songs a set or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So then around 1987 or 8, I had played guitar, but I didn't own a guitar, and there was a guitar hanging around somewhere, and I started getting into that, and I'm going, oh, I'm really enjoying this. And I was living in London, Ontario. I moved to Montreal, continued to play bass, had an acoustic, and just did that for fun. Then I lived in Montreal for a couple of years, went to Toronto, and I started playing this coffee house called Fat Albert's, which was in a church basement right downtown Toronto in the Annex. And a lot of people who went on to do things. Ron Sexsmith was a guy who would play there every week. Kip Harness, Bob Snyder, Bobby Wiseman from Blue Rodeo. Blue Rodeo they were going to be big in the States, which they never were, but this was 1990. And anyways, so I started playing there just once a week, just for fun. And Bobby Wiseman, the keyboard player, came up to me and he said, hey, do you write? And I was doing covers, Nick Lowe songs or whatever. And he said, do you write songs? And I said, yes, lying to him. And he said, send me some. He was going out on tour and he said, send me some. So I quickly went home and wrote some songs, and he liked them. And that's how I started writing songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's the songwriting thing. And then I deduced that I liked it and that it was fun and I enjoyed it. So that's how I started writing songs. How did I get to the island? I was living in New York City. I moved from Toronto. I lived in Toronto for 10 years in the 90s, and I moved to New York City in the summer of 2001. Before that, I had been living in Texas for 6 months because I had fallen in love with Austin, Texas, big music scene. So I was tired of Toronto, so I said I'm going to move to Texas. So that's what I did, and was hanging out there. And just before I went, I had met a woman, and she was coincidentally moving to New York City at the same time. So I was in Texas for like 6 months, and in around April or May, she said, we had done a long distance thing, flights, and then in 2001 were like $100, so we could go back and forth pretty easy in the States. She said, do you want to move to New York City? Moved to New York City. Lived there in Greenwich Village. It was amazing. I didn't have a job. She did. She gave me an allowance. It was amazing. And then we couldn't get the sublet because we had this sublet. We were going to stay there. The sublet was by a guy who coincidentally had moved to Austin because he knew a woman there. Just total coincidence. But it didn't work out. So he wanted his place back. Legally, it was our place, but we felt bad for him. So we said, okay, we have to leave. We'll go on a little vacation to visit. My mother was living here. She had an Airbnb. I'd never been out here.
Huh.
She was in Malpeque. She had an Airbnb. She was retired. At any rate, we thought we'll come here for a holiday. I'd gotten married. We got married in Austin before I moved to New York. And we left September 10th, 2001. So we left the day before 9/11.
Whoa.
Coincidentally, I had nothing to do with it. It was a total coincidence. We came to PEI. We were here for a couple weeks. And unbeknownst to us, we had conceived a child here on PEI on our visit. And I went back to Texas. Both of us went back to Texas. And we were staying there for the winter because that was my plan. Never have winter again. The conceiving the child here changed all that. We went back for the first when she was pregnant. And then we went back when the baby was first born. We're going, this is not going to be so great. So we moved here because we thought after 9/11, the world was crazy. And we thought, this is great. There's no big tall buildings here. It's very laid back. We can do this. And so we came back first for the summer. And then we came back permanently. Permanently meaning we thought maybe a year or two we'll go back to Toronto. 22, 3 years later, we're still here. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah. So that's how I got to PEI. Now, I think the third part of the question, if my memory serves, was music. Is that right? Like Yeah. So, as I said, I'd always played music. I was playing bass in bands and singing for my own enjoyment and sometimes in the bands. But when I was living in Toronto, I got bit by when I was in Montreal, I got bit by I had played bass in like power, like blues bands, like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Cream, Jimi Hendrix, stuff like this. This is what I was into. Mostly trios is what I was in. And when I moved to Montreal, I got bit by the classic country thing because around that time, Steve Earle was just coming out. All these guys, it was called I forget what the movement was, the New Traditionalists. I wasn't so crazy about them. Dwight Yoakam, Randy Travis, all those kind of things. But what that led me to, much like guys that hear the Rolling Stones and go back to the old blues guys, led me to the old country. And then I heard Graham Parsons. I'm like, the hook was in, I was way in, and that's what I was all about from then on. And I started playing guitar. I'm going, I'm going to put the bass down and I'm going to start singing. So I stayed in Montreal for a couple of years, moved to Toronto in 89 or 90, and stayed there for 10 years. And I played in bar bands, playing country music. Loved doing that, but never, ever, ever had any thing about having a career, doing recordings. My thing always was the world doesn't need another indie recording. And this is back when there weren't even, not even close to what they are now. My attitude has changed, of course. And so when I got to PEI, so I'm newly married, my wife's pregnant, and I'm going to move to PEI and get a job. And I'll do music as a hobby. I didn't even have a guitar because I'm going, there's a baby coming. I got to focus on this. Yeah. I was 36, so kind of long in the tooth. And I couldn't get a job for the life of me. I went on 3 interviews to be a dishwasher at the Delta. And I'm like, this is insane. I was forced to start playing music. So that's how I started playing music here. It was never my intention. I tell people that story. They laugh. They go, yeah, go to the East Coast to get away from music. What were you thinking? I didn't know a whole lot about the East Coast, of course, being from Toronto, Ontario. And the thing about, getting a job is I was used to, like, if I want a job, I could get one yesterday. In 2001 here, that was not the case. Maybe it's still not the case. But so, yeah, that's why I started playing music and traveling and all that stuff.
Yeah. I've definitely, this isn't really art related, but there's been a couple of times in my life that I couldn't find a job here as well. And it just happened to be a time, I think, where there was, that cycle of when everybody is looking for a job and there's no, so there's so much competition.
Yes.
That's happened at least once that I've haven't been able to find a job here, but I had a job waiting for me at the lodge in the Rockies that I worked at before, right? So I was
Nice.
like,
Yeah. You
all
gotta
right,
go.
well, I guess I'm just going to drive all the way across the country again. And
It's like your hand is forced, really.
yeah. But at the same time, it's, I think there's something going on that forces people to certain locations.
Totally believe it.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, I'm
Big
glad you
believer in the
ended up
universe in all aspects of everything.
here. Mm-hmm. Yep. There's something guiding us.
Yep.
Well, this is kind of a nice segue. I'd say that your music is very much a blend of different styles, but the country or honky tonk is very upfront. You've already kind of said what drew you to this. Why do you think it's a good vehicle for your songwriting?
I like the form, meaning it's, especially as modern, but even going back 20 years, 30 years when I glommed onto it. But it's like, it's very verse, chorus, bridge. The thing I liked in writing was I wasn't so much into singer-songwriter the way people think of it now, which is kind of like journaling their life or personal, which happens. You can't escape it. It comes out even if you think it doesn't, because I'm going, I don't do that. There's no way I do that. And then you look at the songs and you go, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I like the form that you could write a song and for other people to sing. Not that it would be a standard. I wouldn't go like that, but just in a certain form. So I like the form of the classic country stuff, which was not too far from the classic form of 60s pop or 50s pop or just pop songs in general, 70s pop.
Yeah.
Just like a pop song. So that's why I glommed onto that. And a really big reason I glommed onto it was, there's the thing where what you want to be and what you can actually do. So I wanted to be like a blues, like an Eric Burdon from the Animals blues shouter with the growl, and it just wasn't happening. And that, as much as I liked it, that wasn't my voice. So when I heard Graham Parsons and these country songs and Merle Haggard and all these things, it was like it picked me. I didn't pick it because I'm going, oh, this stuff is suited for my voice. This comes naturally. I never liked it. Of course, I hated it when I was a teenager and a kid. We made fun of it. Steel guitars. I love them now. We made fun of it. And then I started thinking back, and I had an uncle when I was a kid, and we used to go watch Hee Haw on Sundays. And so that stuff just filtered in.
Yeah.
So it was there waiting to come out. That's why I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's similar to me too. I mean, I'm not a country singer, but at the same time, that vibe definitely comes out in my music. And I think it's because I really do love that form. There's something comforting about how those songs are set up. And I was also going through some records at my mom's place the other day and finding a lot of the old crooners in there. And also some, Elvis and George Jones and that sort of thing. So that's the kind of thing that was definitely being played.
Sure.
It's very little.
It's just in you, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you know. Yeah. It's kind of like, I remember my sister was, we were talking about music, and this is CBC always had a classical station. I don't know if they do anymore, but they always did. And she said, and I'm going, man, my appreciation for classical music is so low. And I was a usher at this place called Roy Thompson Hall in Toronto, which had the Toronto Symphony. And a few things got through to me. Handel's Messiah. There were a couple composers, but for the most part, I just couldn't get into it. And I'm like, why? These are the masters. And I have a sister, and she said, well, you weren't brought up on it. You weren't exposed to it. Now, I'm not saying that if you weren't, that you can't, that there aren't people who are never exposed to it that wouldn't have a love for it. But that's the only explanation for me is that I was never exposed to it. So, yeah.
Yeah. You've toured a lot, so I'm sure you have a pretty good sense of what works on stage and what doesn't. Does this kind of thing come to mind while you're writing songs? What's going to work and what wasn't?
Absolutely. I would say one of my stronger suits, and I wouldn't say that I have any strong suits, but I do okay. I keep my head above water, but I take pride in I know how to pace a set
Mm.
and this song goes here, goes there, and how to pace a show. And that came, I always had a sense of that, and it had it when I played in bands. But when I played in bands, my thing was bang, 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 bang.
Mm-hmm.
One song after another, keep the show going, which is a valid thing, and it's a good thing. But once I started playing solo, which I was so scared to do, and I only started this maybe 2010, so or maybe even after that, that I started doing solo shows because my hand was forced. Bands were too expensive. Things were changing. It was just not making sense to be in a band or run a band, which is kind of what I was doing. I was paying people and stuff. So I had to learn quick on how to talk, all that bullshit, which I thought, I'm going, I don't, tell stories and all that. And now I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge part of it, but it's like I wanted no part of it. So that was a yes. So when I'm writing songs, that definitely I think about that now, which I never would have before. But yeah, I think about, this will be great here. This will be great there. I'm always thinking about the show.
Yeah, right.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your relationship like with the music that you've released into the world over the years? Does it, do songs evolve over time, whether through your playing them or through other people listening to them, or?
They pretty much stay like they are. And there's always a couple, and I'm still searching for that perfect word that hasn't come yet, that I'm going, this wasn't perfect. Or nothing's perfect, but this wasn't great. But that's all I had or all I could find, or the sentiment. I might change a word here or there, but they pretty much stay as they are.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, in relation to that. And there's songs, too, that I really like that I've recorded that I never do. Lots of them.
Mm-hmm.
And people ask for them. I'm like, I don't do that one anymore because it was of a time or whatever. It's not like I think it's bad but I just don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard people say that that they don't feel like their songs belong to them anymore once they've been recorded and put out into the world.
Right.
Do you feel that?
I know what they're talking about. I'm sure you do too. And I think that is the case with the really good ones. Because the really good ones, you go, I really don't, and it's a cliche, but most of my really good, what I think are the good ones, they were fast.
Mm-hmm.
Really fast. They came out, didn't have to think of them, almost stream of conscious, didn't craft, didn't go over. I tried, look at it, maybe a word here or there, but so those ones, I get the thing. They're coming through you, but I get the divine thing, the aerial, the antenna, whatever, all these cliches about songwriting. You just put it out there and they come, but it's like they don't in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I know they came through me, but I don't feel like, but I want my money. So I want that.
Yeah.
So I'll say,
I'm keeping the rights.
in a way, I think songwriting's a real racket. And this is probably unpopular, but it's like very unpopular, but it's like, really? And, you made up this thing and it's like you get some money for it if you're lucky. And, you could extend that further to like, well, what if all these musicians helped arrange it and they were a big part of it, whatever, but it's the guy with his name on it that gets the money. And it's, I don't know, that's a big can of worms.
Yeah, it is. What's been one of the most unexpected or surprising moments in your music career so far?
There's been a lot. So
you can give us a few.
Just that I'm still playing. I guess the biggest one is going back to what I said. I never planned on doing music. I really didn't. I had aspirations when I was 10 to stand in front of the Jet like Led Zeppelin. I go, that looks good, or I want some of that. And I quickly figured out that doesn't happen anymore. Or It happens rarely. And the big surprise was that I threw my cards in. And again, it's all PEI. My hand was forced is not the idea, but it's like I always said, and that I used to look at, I was very judgmental in my 20s. And I would look at I'd pick up a CD, and if it had SOCAN on the back, or Factor, or Canada Council, I'd go, I'm not interested. Because I used to call those SOCAN records, or derogatorily, of course, or nothing against you, SOCAN, I love you, thank you
SOCAN,
for everything. But I used to I was not interested because I thought, living in Toronto, I saw how Canada Council worked and all these things, and this is not bitterness. I've gotten my fair share over the years, but favoritism, small groups. It's in Canada, it's weird already, and it's like in a big. You go, oh, I see all the people winning the awards. They say, oh, these were funded by this, so. If you weren't going to play that game, so I thought, I'm going to stay out of that. And then I quickly realized, if you're going to stay out of that, nobody's even going to look at you or take you serious. Same when I got here. I'm going, if you're not in Music PEI or East Coast Music, they're not going to. And one time, this was when it really, and then I still was naive. I was so naive at like in my 40s. And one time, they had asked us to do this performance. I had a band, and we're doing ECMAs and music and all this stuff. They want us to be part of this performance thing where they tell you how to move on stage and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I forget the guy's name, but he had worked with, the calling card was he works with U2 and Taylor Swift and all these things. And, so I said, things. Tom Jackson, I think his name and was. And we said, we're going to play ECMAs, and we had like 7 showcases. It was a big year for us, whatever. It was in Halifax, I think, at the time. And we said, we're good on that thing. We don't want to do that. We feel confident, and we know what we're doing here. Not even as much that is about ego, but it's like, we're not interested in that. Because I had seen them. I had been to a thing, and they're like, he's quoting Bono and Springsteen and giant stages and everything. It's like, I got a little honky-tonk fan here. We play in bars most of the time. We play festivals sometimes, but, it's about running across the stage, and would Bono do this, and so we just, whatever. If that's what you're going for and you need some of those skills. But I had been to a bazillion shows, and I learned all that by watching.
Yep.
And taking what I wanted, a little bit by here and there. And that's how I got my performance skills, such as they are. Anyways, so we said, we'll pass. And then they kept asking. I'm going, they're really not giving up on this. And then finally I got the call that says, you don't get it. You're not going to get, in not so many words, I got somebody high up at the ECMAs. If you don't do this, you're not going to go, nothing's going to happen for you.
Yeah.
Around here.
Yeah.
So I go, so we went and did it, and it sucked.
Yeah.
But we did it. So I can't even remember this question. What was the question?
It was, what was one of the most unexpected or surprising moments in your music career?
Yeah, that was, so I think so that wasn't it, but it was just that I'm still doing it because it led to, I know what so to answer the question was, like I said, I'm never going to get a Factor grant. I'm never going to do these things. And of course I did all that because I threw my hat in the ring. I go, this is how it works. I'll try. I'll see how that goes. It was okay.
Yeah.
But in the end, I wish I would have done any of it. And in the end, I wish I would have just had my little cottage industry. And because when we started out in the mid 2000s, we sold 2,000 CDs real quick. This is back in the day, and we were doing all right. And in the end, that's where So nothing against all those beautiful people. And I mean it. People are doing their thing. People need jobs, industry, all that stuff, but wasn't for me.
Yeah. And there's something unnerving. It was always unnerving for me to know that there was a certain, hallway that you had to go down in order to play the kind of shows that you want to play, on the East Coast and all over, the world.
Yes.
Where do you want to go? This is what you need to do to get there. There's no other option.
Right.
That's what I was hearing. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
See, again, speaking for myself, I was and I was so naive. I'm going, nah, if you just persevere and you do, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
No matter how, and they were, I didn't start. They sniffed around and they said, you guys should do this. You should do this. You should do this. And you're like, yeah, we're good. I remember clearly we were busking at the farmer's market.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going, this will be fun. So we'd go busk there. We go, is this okay? And Roger Greaves, bless his heart, he goes, oh yeah, people love it. We get some big crowds. We'd make beer money.
Yeah.
And we'd go play on Saturdays and for fun, right? And the CBC called and I said, nah, I'm not interested, in an interview or whatever. I'm like, because I wasn't. I just wanted to do nothing against CBC, who pay really well when they play my songs now. Thank you, CBC. But yeah, so I was just extremely naive.
Mm-hmm.
On how things worked.
You've kind of touched on this a bit, but how does it feel when you're in the middle of writing a song that is really good?
That feels great. And you just know that it's happening right then and there. Don't know where it came from. I love those.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't had so many of those, maybe half dozen, maybe 10. But, and the funny thing a lot of times too is the ones that, I guess this doesn't really relate, but sometimes a song comes so easy that I think it's a throwaway or a nursery rhyme, and those are people's favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And ones that I think, this is killer, this is really clever, nothing. You hear nothing about it.
Yeah.
So, all that
Here's
to
a
say,
question.
we can't self-judge.
No. And when it comes to the ones that you thought were really clever and that maybe didn't get the attention that you thought they would, do you continue to play those and hope that
I continue to play them
recognize
absolutely
it?
because my mandate has always been me first in everything in life. When I got married, I told my wife, I'm number one, because if I'm not, your life's going to suck. And I feel like that with performing. I don't do anything I don't want to do, because if I did, it's not going to be good for the audience.
Yeah.
So yes, I still do those, and I still hope that there's one person that'll go, and it happens once in a while. And I'm like, thank you. So yeah. Yep.
I've noticed you doing more and more tribute shows over the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
What do you love about that?
Well, those happen. Now, I always did them before the current craze, because there definitely is around North America, if not the world. And that just came on like, somewhere around the pandemic, I would go on venue sites and I go, oh my God, tribute. I had no idea. One year, not so long ago, there was 3 Johnny Cash tributes on Prince Edward Island, 3 different ones that had come through. I'm going, man. So yes, I'm currently doing this is a plug, I guess. I'm doing a Gordon Lightfoot tribute at the Trailside this summer, July and August, on Sundays. And I'm doing July and August as well at Victoria Playhouse in Victoria by the sea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a Willie Nelson tribute. Now, I always did tributes, but they were for fun, and I would do them once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like doing them, and sometimes get other artists. But it would just be like I would do a Merle Haggard tribute one-off, or I would do this Graham Parsons one-off. So the thing with the tribute thing is this. That's what's going on, and that's what pays. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah. Around the island. I'm not traveling. I traveled before. House concerts was where I was at. I'm going, this is what I'm going to do forever. Yeah. Then things changed, pandemic. Yeah. Right? So I'm doing the tribute shows here. The Lightfoot one started out was just going to be a one-off for he had died. And I'm going, let's do one on his birthday. People asked, do you want to do this as a run out in Victoria? I'm going, sure. So I'm doing those because they're lucrative, and I wouldn't do them if I didn't love both artists. So I have a genuine love for their music, and I love doing those shows. They're never grind like, oh, I got to go do this show. Now, the other thing is, I used to play the Trails side. Pat would call every year, and I'd play once or twice. In the old place, I'd play 3 times sometimes for summer. I go, it's too much, Pat. I can't do. He's going, no, man, tours, blah, blah, blah. He was right. I did really well. Post-pandemic, I got 100 seats, which I was thrilled because people were just glad to be back to just coming out of the pandemic. And then it was like 50. I just couldn't sell.
Yeah.
Just wasn't selling doing original music.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, that's the end of that. I'm not, I can't do that. So it was really sad because I had a good thing going and people, but that's not happening now. Me and my pals, I was just talking to somebody, anybody that'll listen, I'm going, sooner or later, original music's got to come back. And it's like, yeah, we've been saying that for 5 years. We've been saying that since the pandemic. It's not yet.
Yeah.
There still is some, but if you look at any venue, I would say it's 80% tribute acts. So this is what, the way I'm going to get around that is I'm just going to go back to like, I'll play a coffee house. I'll play a, small bar. I just want to play original music. So I haven't done it yet since it's probably been, well, I've done singer-songwriter shows, which I love doing, but I haven't done a full-blown solo show, or I have accompanists and I sometimes use a band, but I haven't done a full-blown solo show it's been probably 2 years. So I want to get back to that, and I'm just going to start playing and doing it because you need to.
Yeah.
And it's important for myself to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I find, I don't know if it's the same for you, but other people have mentioned too that if I don't play for a while, and especially if I'm going to go play a solo show, there's definitely a few days of some pretty intense self-doubt.
Oh, man.
That come on beforehand. Like, can you do that? Do you even know how to play a song anymore? It's like, it's ridiculous. You just have to put it aside and, play and go and do it. But it is amazing that you could play for decades, and then all of a sudden your brain will say, what are you doing? You can't do that.
Absolutely. And you're right, for decades, and then just go, oh, no, I'm not. And, it's the old thing. It's like you do have to use it or lose it. It's like, so, but I mean, I have that general, I have a combination of confidence. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know what to do when I get up there, with what you were talking about. What am I doing? Is this going to work? I think that's healthy for me because it makes me not want to, I just don't want to look stupid.
Me too.
I just do not want to look stupid up there.
Well, that means I over-prepare, which is great for me because I need to feel that I need to be over-prepared. Man, we're speaking the same language because I over-prepared to the point of like people I play with, or if I've done shows with other people, I go, you want to run that again? They're like, Nudie, we're good. I admire people who can be, there's certain things where I can go, yeah, we're good there or whatever. But yeah, I over-prepare for everything. So, and that's just what I need to do. It's just part of my process. Yep. Same. Okay. So you got a few tribute shows on the go this summer, and you're going to probably book some solo shows.
When these are done, I'm going to take a couple of trips in the fall. I like to travel in the fall, and then that's my focus all winter. I'm sorry, I jumped in. Your question, what you're going to get back to? Yeah. And I did this writing exercise 2 Octobers ago where I'm like, I'm going to write a song every day. I've heard about these things, and I did it, and I wrote a song every day. I was surprising how I'm just going to use the word easy. Now, it doesn't mean the songs are great, but I got probably 4 good songs out of that, and the rest of them I would play. I wouldn't throw them away, So I'm going, that was a very good exercise. During the pandemic, so the focus is, after these tribute shows, which I love doing, is to get back to playing original music And finally, I want to do some home recording because I bought some equipment during the pandemic and never used it, like a lot of people. And I ended up just eating a lot of Doritos and watching Netflix, and I didn't do any recording.
Like a lot of people.
Yeah, like a lot of people. So I really want to, I have a fear of that, and I don't have a natural interest because I'm going, no, my job is to play. That's the people on the other side of the desk or glass or however you want to say it. But I'm going to do it because it just, in today's world, it just makes sense. And I want to start making some home-made records and just put them out there. I haven't made a record since 2016 because I only made 2 official releases under Nudie. They were both funded.
Right.
So they had budgets of like $40,000. I'm like, I'm not paying for my own records. And if I am, they are for me to go out and buy some software and whatever, and then I'll just put them up. So they're going to be, I like to think of them as, they're going to be cool lo-fi records because that's what they're going to be. But I just want to get that stuff out because I got too much of a backlog and I'm very excited about doing it. So.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm thinking of doing the same thing because I would like to make another, quote unquote, real record in a studio. But I don't have 20 or 30 or 40 grand. So, and home recording is so friggin' fun. Like it is immersive and super interesting. And
so you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, I did it. I had a little home recording set up 10 years ago, maybe, and I was doing quite a bit of it at home. I ran this group online. It was on Facebook for a while called Song Challenge or something like that.
Okay.
And every week, we had I think we had maybe 15 people in the group. And every week on a Thursday night, I would, when people joined, they would write down a song title or a theme.
Right.
And I handwrite these things and I put them all in a jar. And on Thursday night, I would pick one out and I would say, okay, here's this week's theme.
Yeah.
And everyone in the group had to, they didn't have to, I didn't force them, but they would write and record and upload a song by Sunday. And on Sunday evening, we would all listen to them. And that was a super fun challenge because you had to write it quickly and then you had to record it and then share it.
I'm guessing we have a lot of parallels here, over preparing and notwithstanding. And I work good under deadlines. Mm-hmm. I need deadlines because I can produce. It's like when people go, if there's money involved, they go, hey, can you write this jingle or this or that? I'm like, oh, I could snap to attention to do stuff like that. So I like something like that because it gives you a deadline. Yeah.
Well, maybe we should find a few other people in our shoes and get on that this fall. Maybe.
I'd be down. Yeah.
Fun. How can people find your music and support you? We've already talked about what's coming up live.
I gave up my website because I didn't see for what I was doing a point for it anymore. Mm-hmm. I've thought about getting one back again, and maybe I will when I start playing original music again, but they can get a hold of me if they punch in Nudie Music. That would take them to Instagram or Facebook, I believe, just Nudie, and all my stuff's on Spotify, Apple, it's available digitally. Yeah. Great.
Well, thank you so much for coming out. It was awesome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. And you have a lovely atmosphere here. So great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you.
I wondered what would be the worth of my words in the world if I write them and then recite them. Are they worth being heard? Just because I like them, does that mean that I should mic them and see what might unfurl? And I think of the significance of my opinions here. Is it significant to be giving them? Does anybody care? Just because I'm into this, does that mean that I should live like it? And really, do I dare? Pretty hard not to, and my heart is trying hard. that I did, 'cause they got something good out of it. Would they leave me and be any more inspired? And I question the outcome of the outpouring of myself. If I tell everyone my stories, would this keep me healthy and well? Would it give me purpose into this world, some sort of service? Is it worth it? How could I tell? You make it pretty hard not to, and my heart is trying hard here to follow you.